Warning, this episode covers Ryan talking about his medical issues from Alaska, and it gets gross. So if you're not one for that, maybe skip this episode or have a trash can nearby.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of that podcast.
Yay!
My name is,
You know, Ryan, when most people go on long vacations, they come back with a tan.
Yeah.
You came back with a scooter.
I have equipment. I have hardware. I've been gone for a spell, and now I'm back.
We've had some great episodes in between.
Hey, everybody, and thank you for another great episode of that podcast. I'm Pastor DJ Lura, and with me, as always, is Sarah DeYoung, Dana Mashevsky, and our guest today, Ryan
Jean-K?
Is that how you say it?
How do you pronounce that?
Jean-K. Yep, that's me.
Welcome back, Ryan. This show was nothing without you.
It's been a long time since I've sat in here.
You know what I heard?
Like what, 2 weeks?
No, it's longer than that.
3 or 4.
I thought you were here for one in between.
I was here for the last one we recorded that I was here for was with Reese and Cora talking about Alaska, which would have been the week after we got back, which would be like 4 weeks ago.
Jeez.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I heard from an anonymous source just today?
I know,
whose
no
initials
idea.
are RJ. That Sarah DeYoung's favorite episode of that podcast was shot when you were gone.
It is. That's what I heard. The
I
one,
don't listen.
The one
I don't
that's-
have
it's
favorites.
The one that's in the bin.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll already be
out.
it'll be out already.
The last one we did?
The one
that.
does Christianity denigrate women?
That was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Now I'm not
what
listening
other
either.
ones we did, but yeah, I guess you haven't been here for 4 weeks.
No, it's been a long time.
Reese and Cora come on, and that just shuts
You
you
were
down.
just like, I can't do it
That was
anymore.
it. Yep. If they're not here, I can't be here. No.
Well, welcome back, man. Where have you been?
When I left you last time, you had heard that maybe I hurt myself, and I did.
No maybe about it.
So now there's the benefit of hindsight 2020. So I think I'll just start over, tell the whole thing.
Might as well.
Yeah, as I remember it.
Yes.
But I was under anesthesia for a time and on pain pills too. So we'll see if I remember everything.
Some of it may be an hallucination that you're calling as yeah.
What was that? So we were in Alaska in July. So July 9th through the 16th, we were in Alaska. And we did a lot of fun stuff. You heard about that before. I don't need to rehash that. And we went on a lot of hikes. And on on Tuesday, July the 12th, we went on a hike. And it was pretty intense for people who live in Fargo, where
Everything's flat.
yeah, which is the tallest hill that we have? Is it 4th Street or is it Broadway south of Main Avenue?
Ooh.
Or is it the double-decker interstate interchange?
Well, I would say now it's probably the one in Moorhead that they just finished after 12 years. The viaduct under the...
I was going to say Mount Fargo, the perma snow that sits up at the airport.
I haven't been to the new Moorhead one yet.
Is that actually done?
one lane of it
wow.
each way.
That doesn't seem real to me. They've been
I
working
was
on
going
that
to say,
forever.
I'm like, is it though?
I had hit a point.
I don't
It's
trust
embarrassing as somebody who lives in Moorhead. I was going to Target and they closed my usual route. And I'm like, I don't remember how to get there. It's been closed for so long.
So
So you went on a hike.
we did. We went on a hike. It was pretty intense. And then we finished doing that, and we went back to the church we were staying at, Chugiak United Methodist Church in Chugiak, Alaska, which is not very far away from Anchorage. And we decided to do the church clap, which we've spoke about before on here.
Yeah.
Church clap is a rap song by Lecrae. And who is they? Them. I don't know who made it up, but somebody made up a line dance for it. And so we were doing the church clap line dance. You can probably find that online. And now Cora says it was like the 5th time through. I don't think we had done it that many times, but it was several.
But you were in pain, so who knows how many times.
True.
That's
Some may
true.
say to do this line dance with caution.
Well,
Yeah.
or maybe stretch. Maybe stretch ahead of time.
Maybe not do them after you've been on a
Don't be over 40.
mile-long
Yeah.
hike in the mountains.
Don't do them if you're over 40.
Yeah.
Buyer beware.
Well,
You can keep it shuffle because that has minimal jump edge,
Right.
but that's it.
so
There should be a ranking of difficulty for line dances.
anyway, we were doing the church clap, and several times through we were right smack in the middle of it, and we're all dancing around. Now, this was, like I said, that Tuesday, I believe it was the 12th, and we got there on Saturday, and they have this. It's not like a full gym, but it's a pretty open area, and they have a like a basketball hoop that you see in people's driveways with the weighted bottom, the movable one. And they can adjust them up and down. They got a basketball hoop there and a bunch of like footballs and basketballs, and they have volleyballs in there. Now, Pastor DJ's daughter, Addie, does not have two legs.
No.
She's got a left leg and a right cannon. And so she and Grant, one of the guys in the trip, were playing this game where Addie would kick a volleyball and Grant would try to stop it from hitting the wall behind him. Now, he could never do that. So I had a clear sound in my head of what that volleyball sounded like when it went bang against that wall.
Frankly, if Grant would have tried to stop it, both of you may have been going to
I was like, now
the
that you
hospital.
describe that, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, we'd have both been in the ER, yeah. And he might be in worse shape than me. So we're doing the church clap, and we were several times through, and right in the middle. So the way that it goes is you kind of move back and forth and clap. Like,
Are you going to show us?
to the right. No, I can't. I can't. You know I can't. So
Give the people a demonstration.
So you move to the right and clap, and then you move to the left and clap, and then when the chorus part kicks in, then you kick in, and you bounce right, bounce, left foot, bounce, and then your right foot back, and then you go forward, and then with your left foot, and then you kick your right foot up, and you clap underneath it, and you do a quarter turn, and you start all over again. Right, left, back, forward, step, clap, turn, whatever.
And continue.
Yep. So we were doing the sway part, and then the chorus kicked in, and I went right, left, back, bang, just like that. And I went, ow. I'm like, my first thought was I got kicked in the back of the leg by Addie, or hit by a ball that Addie had kicked that went like a stray bullet. And hit me in the back of the leg.
But Addie wasn't kicking a ball.
She was not, because she was right next to me. But I did not realize that at the time
Okay.
until I watched the video evidence later, which we'll get into in a minute. So I got kicked right. It was right in the back of the leg. And so I stepped. It was in the right leg. And so I stepped. And then my first thought was that I got hit in the back of the leg. But then I was convinced I got hit in the back of the leg by a ball because it felt like I was balancing on a ball. Mm-hmm. I had nothing underneath my right foot. Like I was wobbling all over the place. Like if you would step on a baseball. What are you mocking about?
Nothing.
You're mocking. She's mocking.
I don't know.
Okay. So then I look down and there's no ball underneath me. And then I'm like, all right, this is bad.
Yeah.
So I hobble over to a chair and I sit down and I put my leg up and everybody, clamors around me. What's wrong with the old guy? And I heard in the video later. So Lisa Hansen was recording us doing the church clap. So she got this on video. And I heard one of the girls say, Ryan hurt himself. And it may have been Reese. I'm not sure. Ryan hurt himself. So I sit down and I have my leg up on a chair, and the other group that was there, one of the ladies came down. She's a physical therapist, and she was like squeezing my calf, and she goes, Ryan, I think something's wrong. And I'm like, well, it hurts really bad. And it's like 10:30 at night. And so Carlene, the site director, comes down and she's like, the only thing open is the emergency room. So we're going to have to go there. And I'm like, oh, time out. I don't need to go to the emergency room. And Jennifer, the physical therapist, says you need to go to the emergency
Ryan
room.
goes, I've got a rep to protect.
No, right?
Yeah.
Ryan's
We're
like,
trying to go,
There's no weakness here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm going to put some dirt on it. Get back in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I thought that for a second. And so they're like, nope, you need to go. So Jen Kaminsky-Horak, our high school ministry director and worship leader for the modern service, is in her room. And I found this out later, maybe the next day. Maybe it was that night. It doesn't matter. Carlene went to her and said, Jen, I'm taking Ryan to the emergency room. And Jen breaks out laughing and says, yeah, right. And Carlene says, Jen, I have my coat on. I'm taking Ryan to the emergency room. So Grant and Chippy, one of the other guys, haul me to the van and throw me in. And Carlene and Lisa take me to the emergency room in Anchorage. And we sat there for 3 hours waiting. So when we got there, they put me in a wheelchair and pushed me in, and I put my leg up. And in about 2 or 2.5 hours, I'm like, this isn't bad. Like, I'm not feeling pain really anymore. If I flex my calf, it hurts a little bit, but I think I'm okay. Lisa, I want to leave. We'll come back to the walk-in tomorrow if it still hurts. Ryan, you're seeing the doctor tonight.
I was going to say, you went with Lisa. Like, I don't think she's going to let you leave.
No, she didn't. So we sat there, and pretty soon, finally, the doctor comes out, and they wheel me back there, and he squeezes around on my leg and says, what happened? And I told him, and he said, I think you got a strained muscle. And I said, well, I heard a loud pop, and I felt something, and it hurt bad. And he's like, yeah, I think it was your Achilles tendon snapping across your heel, and that happens from time to time. And nope, this is a strain of your blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, could you just give that to me in lay terms because I'm stupid?
Are you sure this guy was a doctor?
He might
Could have been like the janitor who's just like, you're fine.
He may have slept in a Holiday Inn the night before. So
no offense to the people of Alaska.
Yeah.
So no, just to this guy.
Just the healthcare systems.
So he is like, nope, I think it's a strained muscle, but we'll get you a boot, and I'd like you to see. Wait, hold on. If it's a strained muscle, why do I need a walking boot? Well, just to keep it protected, and whatever, and make sure you see your doctor in about 5 days. Okay. Now I feel like the biggest wimp north of.
I'm old.
I'm old. Yep. Exactly. So I'm in this walking boot, and now it doesn't hurt. When I'm in the boot, it doesn't hurt. So now it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I get in the van, and I feel like the biggest loser that Carlene has probably ever met. Look, who is this wimp?
Strained muscle.
Yeah.
Puts him down.
Right. Yeah, exactly. A strained muscle, and here we are at the emergency room. So I get in the van, and we go back, and John Mellon and I were rooming together. And I don't want to wake John up because now by the time we get back, it's like 3, and this boot has 5 Velcro straps on it. So, I mean, if I take the boot off, he's going to keep sleeping. You like that?
No.
So I'm like, I'll sleep with the boot on, whatever. I'm tired. It's 3. So I lay down and I sleep, and I wake up at like 7 because there's commotion all over the church now, and I wake up and I'm like, it doesn't really hurt. Like if I flex my calf in this boot, it hurts a little bit. I'm going to try this out. So I take the boot off, and I take like a quarter step, and I just about hit the ground.
Really?
There was no stability there. It was screaming at me on the way to the emergency room. I thought I was going to pass out. Carlene's like, are you too warm? Are you too cold? What station, what kind of music do you want to listen to? Carlene, I'm going to puke. Okay, I'll leave you alone.
So out of curiosity, I've never had anything like that happen, but I have woken up and found one leg to be numb and just dropped.
Oh,
sure. Was it like that? Like you tried to put weight on your leg and it's like, nope. Not today.
It wasn't numb. It was just like I didn't have a muscle in my leg. Go ahead.
I just want to know that when you got back, I did ask you if you ruptured your Achilles, and you're like, no. I
I'm a lowly youth minister.
I want the internet to know that I asked you, and
did.
that I was right.
I asked the doctor. I'm just a lowly youth director. I don't know these.
I would also
scientific
go
things.
on
No,
record
but
to
listening
say
to you say all of this, I'm like, how do you not think that he ruptured his Achilles? Like, what doctor did you see?
I
It
think
could
we
have been
also-
Mr. Bean. I'm not. I was hurting.
we also talked on the episode before. I think it was before you guys left for Alaska about how you almost blew your knee out running through the Denver airport. So what's going to happen on this trip? Shouldn't you get this checked out? And you're
Hold
like,
on.
oh, it's fine.
You're misrepresenting the facts.
No, it's recorded. I think you can go back and find it.
I can
Fake
find,
news.
I
Fake
can,
news.
I can find it. I blew my knee out jumping off rocks at Devil's Den in Gettysburg.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yep. That was my torn meniscus on the opposite knee, by the way.
Yeah, so both legs are currently.
Right. And I had an appointment because they had done an MRI on that knee before we left for Alaska. And I had an appointment to see the doctor who I saw about my Achilles for that Tuesday when we got back. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, man, something's not right. Well, while we were in Alaska, one of the ladies from the other group tested positive for COVID. And so when we got back, I tested myself because I wasn't feeling 100%, and the home test said I was positive for COVID. And so that was on maybe Saturday or Sunday. We got back on Saturday. So that's
5 days later. It was a Tuesday or was it Thursday when this happened?
It happened Tuesday.
So Wednesday, Thursday. So 4 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I had that appointment set up, and I tested positive. And so I called. The appointment was for Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And so I called on Monday and said, here's the deal. And they said, yep, you can't come in here with the plague. And I'm like, that wasn't, I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, when can I get in? So they said, well, we have an opening next Wednesday. So a full week, a little bit over.
8 days later.
Yeah. And so I've still got this boot on because I can't walk without it.
Is that before VBS or after?
That was before.
Okay.
Yeah. So, wait a minute. It was during so the appointment that I actually went to that following Wednesday was in the middle of VBS.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm still hobbling around on this strained muscle in my leg in this walking boot. And, the next Wednesday comes and I go to the orthopedic doctor that I've seen.
You went and saw your guy.
I went and saw my guy. I know this guy. I've seen him.
He looked at your knee.
Yeah, he did. And he's also the guy that gave me a cortisone shot in my wrist.
Right, when that was messed up.
Yeah, when I was having that issue. Yep. All right, now, does anybody have any questions up to this point? It's a lot of information.
So at some point now, you've injured almost every limb.
Not an elbow or a shoulder yet.
My left
or an ankle.
My left arm appendage is good.
Okay.
But right leg, left leg, and
he's at 25%.
Yeah, I'm at 25%.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So I go and I see the orthopedic or the guy. And so he's seen me before. So he walks in the room and he says, "Hey, what's happening?" And I said, "Well, I can show you. I've got a video." So I show him the video and he goes, "Ooh, let me see that." So I had already taken the boot off and I put my foot up kind of on his lap and he's like, I think you ruptured your Achilles, man. Well, talk to me. Tell me what happened. So I explained it to him and he goes, and I told him about the doctor in Alaska and he goes, "Oh, gee, I can't say everything he said," but
HIPAA.
He's like, he's
well, we're
like,
gonna keep this G-rated.
Yeah.
So.
He's like, no, this is not a strained muscle at all. And why are you just here now? This happened 2 weeks ago. And so I explained it to him, and he was equally disappointed with my explanation for why I had waited to come in. And he said, "You get up on that table, lay face down." And so I had my feet hanging off the end of the bed. And he's like, "Your Achilles this is a rupture, man. Your Achilles is ruptured. This isn't good. It's been 2 weeks now. This thing started to heal itself. Like there's scarring going on in between and the blood all over and like,
Oh man.
because the bottom of my foot was like purple
Right.
from the blood that had settled to the bottom of my foot, So
And Dana's getting squeamish.
I may have to put a warning at the beginning of this episode. So
You can't share the video on here.
okay.
You're not allowed to put that with us.
Okay. So I'll make that judgment call.
I could have gone without the notion of like blood pooling at the bottom of your foot.
You saw the picture though.
I know. I didn't ask for that photo, by the way.
Well, I like to share information
He
as it's
blows out
available.
his Achilles tendon, didn't seem to bother anybody, but a little blood pooling at the bottom of his foot. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
You've obviously never seen Pet Cemetery before.
Do I look like?
So
I look like somebody voluntarily.
let's get back on track. So he has me lay face down on this bed and he's squeezing around and he's telling me, this is bad. This is not good. I don't want to scare you. Sit up. And I'm like, okay, well, you already did. So I sit up and he tells me what's going on. He's like, this is bad. This isn't good right now.
At that point, I think I'd want to argue with the doctor. Like, wait a minute, my doctor in Alaska says it's just a pulled
Yeah.
muscle.
Yeah.
You're making a
Put the boot back on. I'll be fine.
This is a pulled muscle, homie. And I knew it was bad the night before because the night before I was like, am I just babying this thing? Because I was like shuffling around most of the time, Like if I went anywhere, I had the boot on.
Yeah.
And so, but the night before I tried to take a step and I was like, I'm going to crash to the ground. I couldn't even finish taking
You
the step.
literally have no structure to your foot.
How have you been driving this entire
He
time?
hasn't.
Okay.
That's not true. Well,
That's concerning.
it may or may not be true. Since my surgery, I can tell you for a fact that I have not driven. Prior to
You
that,
were driving before that?
prior to the surgery, I may or may not have been driving.
You can neither, you can
that's
neither
right, 'cause I was
confirm
also
nor
mad about
deny.
that.
I will neither confirm nor deny that I was driving
That's
prior to my
terrifying.
surgery.
Okay, continue.
All right. So he says this needs to be fixed soon. So I know the surgeon that I want you to see. He's down the hallway. I'm going to go talk to him. So he leaves, and I can
Well, he
hear.
was going to order like an MRI.
Oh
too,
yeah,
wasn't
he ordered in. It was going to go order an emergency MRI because this thing needs to be fixed soon.
Yeah.
So he goes outside and closes the door, and I can hear him talking to whoever he was talking to outside the door, and it was worse than what he was telling me to my face.
He told you he didn't want to scare you.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on this table, like swinging my foot back and forth, thinking it's been nice knowing you. And so,
We've had some good time.
yeah. And so I sit there for a long time, just wallowing in my misery. And this nurse comes in and she says, "Okay, you're going to go see the other doctor. You should put your boot on because it's a little ways, down the hall." So I go see him, and he comes in and he says, "Let me see this." Okay, yep. Why don't you go lay up on the bed there? And I go up, lay up on the bed. He squeezes around and he says, "You can sit up. I'll be right back." And he leaves and he comes back and he said, "I canceled that emergency MRI. We don't need that. You have a ruptured Achilles. So this is what's going on. Your Achilles, he has it all drawn out. The paper on the beds in the clinic rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like drawing on that paper, showing me what's going on. He says, "So there's two things we can do. Either we can we can put it
the
in
boot back on, send you home.
we can put a boot on, put you in a heel, and it'll be 8 weeks, and you can heal in a boot in 8 weeks, and it's got this percentage of chance that you could rupture it again, or we can do surgery." And he explains how. Can I put the animation?
No.
I was kidding about that. He actually said you can go put a boot on and it'll heal naturally in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But you won't have a connected Achilles tendon.
No, it'll be connected. So let me get there.
It'll be
Okay.
connected
Yeah.
by like scar tissue, though, basically.
Well, no, I'll get there. So
Also, no, you can't put the animation
No.
in this.
okay. Well, then I better.
People can Google it if they want to see
Well,
that.
I have to explain it then. So he says, or we can do the surgery. So the surgery consists of them.
So if we let you do the animation, you don't have to explain this, and I don't have to listen to it.
I don't know that we can do the animation because it's another YouTube video. So I'd have to. Well, I could
Can
link it.
download 'em.
I could link it. I could do that, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Probably.
I suppose I could.
Yeah, you can do it.
Well, long story short, they use a little. They call it a jig. So they cut my leg open and they put the jig inside my leg and they thread my leg like my grandma's sewing machine. And
bring out the singer.
Yep. And they do it old school. They probably got a little pin cushion, and then they pull the.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm just having the best time watching Dana dry heave over here. Like,
Did you get the trash can?
Been a couple close calls. You're real glad you got that coffee now, aren't you? And so you can wash down the chunder. So. What?
What is wrong with you?
So anyway, they got this machine, not a machine, but a little jig they use, and they pull the wires out of the top part of the tendon that's broken off, and then they drilled holes in my heel. They drilled 2 holes in my heel, and then it's like latch hook style. They go in the hole in my heel with a little latch hook through the tendon and grab the wires on the other side, and then thread them back through on both sides, and then they pull it tight, and then they anchor it into my heel, and then they sew me up and say, "Beat it." And so that's kind of,
were you thankful that you were like knocked out for this? Because I know the struggle of like somebody trying to draw your blood and they can't find the vein. So I just imagine that, but like with this little hook of like, dang it, we missed it.
No.
Missed again.
So not just Dana, but I was watching Sarah's face too. I wish I could see the faces of the people that are hearing this story for the first time. Because the responses are just delicious.
Yeah.
And I've heard this before.
Yeah. Well, I want to, the people who are just listening don't have a visual of what's going on.
Exactly.
So anyway, that was the deal. They sewed me up and they sent me on my way. And so for 2 weeks, I could not put any weight on it whatsoever. And so I should back up a little bit. The day before the surgery, which was the day that I went in that morning to find out that my Achilles was ruptured. Once they decided they were doing the surgery, they sent me all over town. I had to get a COVID test. I had to see a pre-procedure approval place. There was like 5 appointments that I had to go to that day. They were scrambling to get me in. I had to have a little physical before it happened, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And one of the things that was on the list was to get this scooter. Because I said, well, I don't have crutches. And they said, no, you don't want crutches. You can have a scooter. So they told me where to go. And then I found out that we have a scooter here at the church. Now, what I did not know is that it was not pre-assembled. And so it was put together by people who will remain nameless. And so I came in to test drive the scooter and I face planted right in the middle of the fireside room. Wham!
Ryan, to be fair, I don't think you can just say, I'm just a lowly youth director and then expect your coworkers to be master engineers of post-surgery scooters.
Medical equipment?
Yeah.
So anyway, I face planted. That's since been corrected. And so the first... Dana was there. She was there. So it was me.
She was doing what she's doing right now.
It was me and Dana and Amy was there for sure. Now my wife for sure. I don't know if either of my kids was there.
Tab was in the office.
Yeah, Tab was in the office, and we were all in the fireside room, and Margene was with Tab in the office, and I wham, face first right into the ground, bang. And Dana's there and Amy's there, and I hit the ground and I hear Amy go, "Oh my gosh, Ryan, are you okay?" And all I can see is Dana tearing down the hallway next to the fireside kitchen, laughing at the top of her lungs.
She's doing it right now.
Yeah.
You kind of flipped over it.
Yeah, I bit the dirt hard. Luckily, I landed.
Did you go over the handlebars?
Almost, guys.
Yeah, it was like one of those videos that you watch on Army Fail. And so, luckily, I landed on the carpet.
I went to go get your wife.
You went to go laugh at me and hopefully not pee your pants.
I went to go get your wife while also not dealing with the situation.
Oh, no, there goes the other Achilles.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. If that had happened, I'm like, I'm not responsible for this.
Yeah.
Dana's going to leave.
So that was the day before the surgery. So then I have the surgery.
Oh, my goodness.
So then it's 2 weeks of no weight bearing whatsoever. And then 2 weeks of standing weight only, which as we record this, I'm in the middle of that right now. And then in a week here, I'll get the stitches out, and then hopefully I'll be able to walk with the boot. And then that's 4 weeks, and then I start physical therapy in there as well.
They have to take the stitches out?
Well, yeah, they're not going to leave them in.
Couldn't they do the ones that they give you like with your wisdom teeth where they dissolve?
I was going to say.
Probably not as strong.
Not outside your body.
Yeah.
I've had stitches that, or they weren't stitches, I don't think.
The ones that dissolve are inside.
Yeah, they got to have a steady diet of saliva or something. Like when they do the interior ones, they do the dissolvable ones then, but not on the outside. No,
Right.
they got to take those out.
Right.
Why
I'm surprised they didn't staple. That they did
Oh
stitches.
man, that'd be ugly.
Well, I mean,
Because stitches look great.
Beautiful.
Do you guys want to see?
No, absolutely not.
Gotcha. It's a little itchy right now too, so I think it's in that part of the healing process where it's
That's good
yeah,
for you.
itching. Yeah.
And I don't think I can put anything on it because it'll get infected probably. So just kind of live with it.
What would you put on it?
Like a neosporin or something. I don't know.
All you need is Neosporin on the outside, Robitussin on the inside.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah, turpentine. So that's sort of the story.
Wow.
That's where I'm at in life right now with as far as my physical health.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
Any
Is
questions?
it amazing?
The whole journey is just amazing.
I think it's probably a good thing that you had the sympathy of being misdiagnosed.
I didn't
and
have
the
any
time-
sympathy from Dana Mashevsky.
Well, I was thinking about it because would you rather have the doctors be like, oh my goodness, like, ooh, this poor guy, or this idiot blew his Achilles doing some line dance?
Then be stuck in Alaska.
I had the benefit here, anyway, of them being preoccupied with the incompetence of the doctor that I
See,
saw.
that's
in
what I'm
Alaska.
saying is you've got the perk of we just kind of gel over the how it initially happened.
I would have much rather known that it was ruptured when I was in Alaska because they will still do surgeries if they are necessary, which I found out very quickly that this one is necessary. Well, it's not necessary. I should go back. I got the surgery done because the doctor told me what the process was, and then he's like, so those are your two options. And I'm like, what would you do? And he said, you and I are the exact same age. I would get the surgery done because if you let it heal, you will never, like, if you're active, you got to have the surgery done. Mm-hmm. He said, if it was, 15, 16 years from now, you're 60 years old. No, I'd let it heal up. But as of right now, being a 44-year-old guy with kids and whatnot, no, you got to have the surgery done. So that's the route that I went.
This entire adventure, and that's what I'm going to call it, because every time you talk about it, you tell it in such a funny way. It brings tears to my eyes. Everything was poor results of good intentions. Like you went on a mission trip.
Yep.
With kids.
Yeah. It was fun.
And
you know what? If I had to rupture my Achilles again to keep them out of the emergency room, I'd do it again.
Of course you would.
Begrudgingly.
Yes.
But I'd do it.
It wasn't it like no kids have been injured this year, but like you have
Yes.
on all the mission trips?
Yes.
No.
yeah.
That's right. I stabbed my hand.
Yeah, you had a pinhole in your hand.
I stabbed myself with a scalpel. It was maybe a foreshadowing of the scalpel thing of the next trip.
The Bible speaks about suffering for love of neighbor, and you've definitely been suffering. But I mean, you went on this mission trip. You're with the kids. You're doing something fun with them. You're doing something interactive with them in a church. It's Lecrae. It's a fun little, it's fun.
Yeah.
And you get hurt.
Bang.
And so what do you do then? You follow the advice of people who tell you need to go to the hospital. You didn't make a big stink about it.
Right. I kind of did, but
Well, you kind of did. You
was
just a little bit, but that's all right.
you know what? Without Lisa on that trip, I'm not saying that Jen wouldn't have grabbed me by the ear and taken me, but if Lisa wasn't along and it was somebody less strong-willed, I may
Less
not
scary.
have. I may not less scary, less mom.
Less
there you
mom.
go.
Yep.
I may not have gone in, but
But you did, and you took the advice of your doctor that you had at the time, and it was found to be faulty advice. But you followed up that advice by going and actually seeing your doctor when you got back here, and following what the hospital said with COVID and everything. It's just poor results of good intentions all the way through. So
Yep.
I'm just happy you're alive.
Man.
From all that stuff.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
I'm not saying that it has not been fun, but it's a story to tell.
Ryan, I imagine your healing process is kind of like Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights. When after he gets into the car accident and he's sitting in the wheelchair.
Outside of the home, I put on a smile, but my wife will probably tell a different story of my spirits in this situation.
Well, okay, so I have a theological question. With all that's happened, do you believe that you had free will in the midst of all of it? In other words, the question is, do we have free will? This is a big question that science wrestles with.
Sure.
And that religion wrestles with as well.
Yes.
According to science, the evidence seems to be pointing to that free will is an illusion.
So there were a few decisions that I could have made that maybe would have put us on a different trajectory here, right? I wouldn't have had to do the line dance because in my head, I heard my wife say, "You're 44, you don't need to go dance." But I danced anyway.
You heard the voice of Leanne Womack saying it even louder.
I did. I danced anyway. Now I can't say it without a little cadence there. So I decided that was a decision that I made, even though, my thought was maybe I shouldn't do this, but I did. I could have also stretched, which I didn't because that's for wimps. And I could have said, nope, I'm not going to the doctor. I also could have advocated for myself a little more at the doctor and say, are you sure? Because you diagnosed this in like 47 seconds. And I heard a pop and it hurt really bad. And maybe you could give it a little more time.
Right.
So there were a few things I could have done different, I suppose.
Right. But that's in hindsight.
Right. That's in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you telling me?
Well, it's an interesting question that falls down on all different sides. Science is arguing now that free will is much more of an illusion, and what we do is tied to the way our body makeup is made up. And you could really...
I can't control myself. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's that several choices earlier that you made led to the inevitable conclusion that you were going to rupture your Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Hindsight could say, well, I could have done this. But can you do this? Do you have a time machine?
No, I can't go back.
That's kind of the point that science makes. But, we all know you made all kinds of choices that led up to...
I didn't even have to go on that trip, for crying out loud.
Right.
I would say for my...
of your job.
Well, it was a high school trip, and I'm the middle school director. We just sort of have a friendly agreement that we're going to be in a team. Okay. Be in a team in this.
Or going on the hike earlier that day.
Yeah.
That was your choice.
Yep.
You didn't have to go on the hike.
Right. Now, for those of you who may be curious, Tuesday was right smack in the middle of our trip. So I made it a point to talk to Carlene and tell her, do not change anything or do anything different than you originally intended just because I'm an idiot and hurt myself here. I didn't want the kids to miss out on anything because, well, no, we better not do that. Ryan can't come along. No, you go do it. I'll sit in the van if I have to.
Yeah.
So they were able to go see glaciers and so a lot of stuff I was looking forward to, but
right.
Someone's got to hold the bags.
But yeah, somebody's got to hang back. So I'm glad they were still able to do all that stuff.
Sometimes you end up on the injured list.
Yeah,
and
on the bench.
Don't get to be in the game.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Is free will a real thing?
My thought is it's kind of ironic that like science is saying it's an illusion because then I would ask the question of, well, then who's making the decisions if I'm not?
That's the question. If we live in a deterministic universe, right, where all that there is just the material things that we see, well, then the case can be made and is made, and that this is where this question is less about science and more about philosophy, that there is no free will because all of the choices that you make are predetermined based on your chemical makeup of the atoms and neurons that you are made. You have certain synapses firing in your brain that make you compelled to go and get the caribou coffee that's sitting in front of us. That would be the argument that free will is an illusion because all you're doing is satisfying the compulsions that you have naturally.
Or they're setting us up to reveal that we are somebody's Sim City.
Okay, this entire time you're talking about like choices, and I just like it. I play a lot of Sims, and so it was just imagine the little like bar of tasks that I get my Sims to do.
If I find out one day that this is a simulation and you're the one that made me rupture my Achilles, Dana Mashevsky.
Ryan, would you rather have it be the Achilles or take the ladder off the pool?
Because
there are worse things out there.
That's the fastest way to get it done. Okay.
Well, and that's another question too, because how often have we said, God, why did you let this happen to me? Mm-hmm. That's actually an appeal to not wanting free will and then blaming God for our troubles.
So who toggled off free will option?
What's that?
Who toggled off the free will option?
Do you want to hear the Lutheran perspective on the free will?
Yeah.
We're very different than other Christians. There's some Christians that are like, there's no free will. Everything is preordained by God. If we don't
have free will, and you're saying that all the choices we make are predetermined by like genetic makeup, then why is it that I'm able to convince myself I don't need to spend all my money on one thing, even though I really, really want it?
So you're able to change your behavior, if not your desire. Is that what I hear you saying?
I don't know.
Depends on the day.
And that's what it sounded like. So you're saying like a Calvinist perspective would be...
A Calvinist perspective is that everything is predetermined, everything is preordained. Those who will be saved will be saved. Those who will not be saved will not be saved. And c'est la vie. There's nothing you can do about it. Mm-hmm. A rejection of that is the Arminian position, which is basically we have free will in everything. And as far as salvation is concerned, it's up to you to make your choice to accept Jesus as your Savior. It's up to you to make your choice to follow God. And if you don't, you deserve hell. Mm-hmm. So those are the two extreme positions. The Lutheran position, which is older than those two church bodies came around after the Lutheran Reformation, is that our free will is bound or captive to those things which are above us, above our pay grade, how we relate to God, how God relates to us. Mm-hmm. God does not leave something as important as your salvation up to your free will, because your free will is bound. It's broken. And what it means to be bound is not that we're puppets on a string. It's that we're bound to do the thing that we desperately want, that is rejecting God to be in control of our own destiny. So in salvation terms, for a Lutheran, we do not have free will when it comes to our relationship with God. We have free will in everything beneath us. Mm-hmm. Those things where God says, I've created you in my image to have dominion over creation. Mm-hmm. So Ryan, you freely chose to go on a mission trip. You freely chose to climb a mountain. You freely chose to do the church dance without stretching. And therefore, it's not like you can blame God and say, why'd you let this happen to me?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's not that we have absolute free will. We have free will in those things in which we have free will. Mm-hmm. And the things that we don't have free will in has to do with our relationship to God. Yeah. God has to intervene through his son, through the preached word, in order to create faith in the heart of a sinner, which is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what we mean when we talk about the free will from a Lutheran perspective.
Gotcha.
We proclaim that our will is bound.
Okay.
You're bound to do it. But what that also means is that our attractions, our desires, may very well be the result of chemical processes that have a biological predisposition on you. Mm-hmm. Some people like chocolate more than others. Mm-hmm. Some people like pumpkin spice lattes, and some people do that.
Okay, mine's not that aggressive.
It's pretty gross.
Some of us are more likely to become addicted to certain things. Mm-hmm. Think about like an alcoholic or drugs, whereas other people aren't. That all has to do with biological predispositions. And I don't know what Dana is doing.
Can you hear that through your...
Are you hearing that?
No.
Oh, no, I
Can you hear mine?
Yep.
Sorry. Got a little sidetracked.
Squirrel.
I was going to say, this is just my ADHD acting up.
The point being is that we can control our behavior. Mm-hmm. We can limit and we can change our behavior. Doesn't always mean we're going to limit our desires, because often our desires are beyond our control. Paul talks about it like this: I do the things I don't want to do, or I desire the things I don't want to desire, and I don't do the things that I should do. Oh, what a wretched man am I! Who can save me from this body of sin? But thanks be to God through Jesus Christ, who sets us free. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Good enough?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why did the Calvinist cross the road?
I don't know. Why did the Calvinist cross the road?
He didn't have a choice.
Didn't have a choice. Hey-o! Ba-dum-bum. Where's the...
Oh, Dana's on it. Gotta find the right reaction.
Yeah, I was like, which one do I want?
Too late.
We just take that pumpkin spice on Ryan made and replay it.
Okay, time out for a second. Where are we at? We're at 46 minutes right now.
Okay.
So what do we want to do?
Well,
keep going and make it 2?
What do you want to do?
How much time do you have?
I'm off all day. I have to pick a friend up at the airport at 9 p.m. So if I could be done by 8:30 p.m., I would appreciate that.
I think we could do that.
You sure?
My kids laugh at me because they'll say something and I'll take like 30 seconds to find that.
Let me get it.
You're like, I got the perfect thing for this. Hold on.
That's funny. So do you want to do...
do you want to cut it and we'll do another one right now?
What do you think?
It's fine with me.
You gonna do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Gonna do a closing on this then to
close this up.
Stick on the end.
Should
and
we?
we'll start another one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Somebody want to pray for me?
This goes back to that desire and bound thing.
That's right. You know what? I do want to pray for you. It's not even like I have to. I want to.
Oh, DJ's a lot nicer than us.
You know what? I might not edit any of that. I might just let the whole thing go.
Everybody who's listening, the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for our brother Ryan, and glad that in our time apart that he was able to do all kinds of wonderful things and experience things, even hard things like getting injured. But we give you thanks, Lord, for doctors and friends and people who care for us that can help to make us better. And we pray that healing would continue to flow through Ryan until he's back to playing skill to 100%. And give you thanks for Sarah and Dana, that in Ryan's absence, we sure missed him on that podcast and in the church, but we were able to continue to meet and talk about how good you are to us in all that you do. And so bring your blessing upon Ryan and his family, restore him to full health, and thank you for bringing him back. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. That's it for this episode of That Podcast. Remember, you can find all of your favorite atonement, whatever you want to find, whether it is a past.
Do we have merch? Do we have swag?
Oh, man, we should.
Dana, do we have any of that stuff?
I'm glad
Not right now.
I'm glad it's you putting her on the spot and not me. So if you want to find past episodes of That Podcast or past services, messages, Bible studies, any of that sort of thing, even some maybe crazy videos, you can go to YouTube and search Atonement Fargo. You can find us every Sunday morning at 9 and 10:30 a.m. for services live. at atonement.live or atonementfargo.org. So for Sarah DeYoung, Dana Mashevsky, and Pastor DJ Lura, I'm Ryan Janke. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on another riveting episode of That Podcast.
That was fantastic.
I didn't even mute you.
I know.